I ignored a lot of the first symptoms because I had literally just had a baby. The jaw lump kept getting bigger and bigger. I got more lumps on my head. I could barely walk. My GP called me and was like, okay, we think that you have cancer. Is my daughter going to grow up without me? Everyone before you have a baby are like, you're going to be so tired, sleep when the baby sleeps, you're going to be exhausted. So when I was starting to feel this extreme fatigue, I was like, whoa, this is way, way, way worse fatigue than I thought I was going to get having a baby. It didn't cross my mind that there could be something seriously wrong like that. I was 23 at the time. I was fairly young, and I'm like, there's a reason for all of this, and all signs are pointing to it's just a bad coincidence that this is all happening. But I started to get bad tooth pain. So I went, had that looked at, and then my back started to increasingly get sorer and sorer. But they were telling me that it was my sacroiliac joint, which is an issue after you have a baby. I was seeing the doctors and they were, just confirming, no, it's all good, this is common. And the pains just happened to be happening in spots that made sense for what I had just gone through with birth. So it was really easy to kind of dismiss. There was an answer for literally everything. I think the frustrating thing was I was saying, I'm going to physio, I'm going to a chiropractor, it's getting worse. And I was like, at what point do I leave an appointment feeling like I can walk again, I can feel better again? After the first root canal, I got 2 massive lumps on the back of my head. And then I got those ultrasound and it looked like a hematoma. So I couldn't pick up my baby. I couldn't look after her. My partner would leave for the day. My dad would come as he was leaving so that I had somebody there. I was really, really upset because I wanted to look after my daughter and I was just in so much pain. And our days, I had about probably 4 appointments a week between all of the different professions and doctors, and my dad would have to drive me to those as well. So I felt bad for taking up all of his time. And then I felt bad that they were doing everything for the baby and I was not doing enough. So by the time it kind of snowballed to the point where they're like, let's just do a CT. And my GP is the most lovely lady, and she was like, you're too young for anything too terrible, but let's just test it anyway. And I'm so grateful that she did do that because of what we ended up finding. I had a CT, a mammogram, and an MRI. They just did it all in one go. I got all of those done, and I'm going through all of these, laying there for ages. I was in that MRI machine. They said, oh, it'll be about 5 or 10 minutes. I was in there for 45 minutes. And so at that point, I was like, okay, something's not right because I was supposed to be out of here ages ago. I'm laying there when are they going to stop it? And she rang and she told me and I was like, okay. And I kind of had a moment. I didn't cry in that moment. I think because it's how does that feel real? It doesn't feel it feels like a dream and I'm going to wake up. And the doctor rang and I have cancer. And he was shocked, but my parents are very calm. So he was like, okay, do you want to ring your partner? And I said, no, I'll wait till he gets home. It was only the span of about 8 weeks. It wasn't until maybe a couple days later it really started to, sink in. I'm going to the hospital. It kind of was all okay, this is real. And this is life changing right now with such a small baby. First thing in the morning, they all kind of rush in and they're like, okay, we technically can't treat you because we're waiting for your biopsy. However, this is an emergency. So you are getting chemo today. So it was immediate. You were getting chemo today because they start listing things. We can't believe you can talk. We can't believe you're not paralyzed. We can't believe this. If we wait any longer, we can't fix this for you. It has to be today. Immediately I'm going, am I going to be able to have kids after this? And my doctor's like, we don't have time to talk about fertility. We have to fix this now. We will talk about it later. In the coming days, the biopsy did come in and some of my nurses kind of came in and they're like, have you seen your scan? Do you want to see it? And I was like, yeah. And they sent me that photo. And that's when I was like, oh my God, I almost died. I think they had to toss up because typically they said it's usually young children or people over 60. And so I'm in this weird middle. And they said because of this, we can probably up your dose of certain chemos because you will be able to handle it. And then they started to say to me, you know, you'll be here for 2 to 4 weeks at a time, then you can go home for a week, and then you'll be here for 2 to 4 weeks. And then I started to get scared. I had a PICC line inserted, so I was just happy I didn't have to have needles. I'm an avid needle hater. The intrathecal, like spinal chemos, I was terrified of. And I think I was up for 10 of them, if I'm not mistaken. I ended up just shaving it off. It was like day 3, and Mum got there that day. I was like, shave it off. I think it was also like a control thing. Like, I got to choose then. None of it had fallen out at all. I did check. I was like, is it 100% going to fall out? They're like, yes, Jessica, it's 100%. You don't have a chance of your hair staying in. And I was like, okay, well then it's got to go. Mum washed my hair in the shower. We like made it like a salon, you know. I sat in the chair, she washed it, plaited it, she chopped it off, and then my partner shaved the rest. And then we just tried to keep it light. You know, I'd say I matched my daughter because she didn't have hair either. So we were matching, and she didn't even grow hair until I started growing hair. So when we had the second scan at kind of the halfway point, so I had 4 hospital stays, and that was the treatment regime. And after the second, they scanned me again, and there was like the tiniest speck in my spleen, and they're like, great, this is going really well. And I remember waking up just one random morning, like towards the end of my 3rd visit, and I rang Mum and I was like, they haven't said anything, so don't get excited, but I've woken up and I'm certain that there's no cancer left. And Mum's like, you're odd. But I was like, no, I'm sure, I know. I had to ring my nurse and say, I'm pregnant. And she's like, you are not. And they could not believe it. And I'm like, I've had so many tests, like, you know. And then it kind of went into, it was a really, really hard time the first like 4 months of being pregnant, because they were like, we haven't checked yet. Like, if you're, like, what do you want to do? And I'd spent months being told I will never have kids again. And, you know, I'd ask her every week and she'd be like, Jessica, like, you need to let it go. We can discuss it, like, when you're done. It was just spontaneous and nobody could believe it. I freaked out. I was really excited and I was like, I'm going to take any chance I can to have this baby. But we also had a lot of discussions about, if I am sick, I have a daughter. Like, she is here. And as much as I want more kids, I can't risk my life trying to have another baby and then both of them won't have their mum. I could not believe, like, what my body was able to do. Like, it's already crazy to have a baby in the first place, let alone 2 so quickly together with all of the rest in the middle. My daughter's 8 months old, and I would say it was only like in the past 2 months that I really sat down and I realized I had 2 babies and beat cancer in a year and a half. Like, that is just, when you tell people, like, they don't believe you. Like, I've got no long lasting kind of side effects that are going to remind me, you know, like, I've got this scar, but that happened after. So, like, to me, it doesn't feel attached to anything that happened. So it really just feels like it wasn't even like me. It's like I dreamed that this thing happened, and I'm a lot calmer and a lot less stressed about things. I had like a very everything's got to be perfect kind of mentality. I'd get stressed if things didn't go how I thought they were supposed to go. And now I'm just very, it is what it is, and like, it'll work out, and it's not a big deal. So I am proud of myself that I think more so that I didn't just like waste away the time. I wasn't just like, oh well, like, all of this time's wasted. I really made the most of it. I still went to events. I went to concerts with my brother, and I, you know, did all of the things that I still wanted to do. And I think it's important, you know, for people to also see that life can still go on. Like, your life doesn't have to be cancer. And once you like get through this crazy thing, you can just be you, and you can just be a human. And it doesn't make you any less or any more than anybody else. You're just still you, and you just move on. It makes it easier to just try and be normal and focus in on those things over wallowing and being sick, which is really easy to do. And I did plenty of wallowing and sitting there and eating snacks and feeling sorry for myself. But when you can, you know, just, I think it really, really helps to just grasp at anything you can.